16, I'm supposed to go to court on January 21st, and Dilara's dad is asking the judge to send me to jail for 260 days because he doesn't want me talking about how he has been keeping me from Dilara and which in all the unlawful things he's done, and I think he's a bully. I think the judge is a bully. I think the lawyer's a bully. I think everybody who is disregarding the United States Constitution, the Tennessee Constitution, that let me read from the Tennessee Constitution. This is what they're wanting to put me in jail for, is because I am not giving up my my rights. They can't take my rights away from me. They can just put me in jail for exercising them, and that's what they're wanting to do. They're wanting Dilara's dad has already got orders against me in court that are totally against the law. Totally against the law. But the reason he's gotten away with it isn't because his legal arguments have merit, because they don't. They're not relying on any legal arguments. They're relying on personal attacks on me and lies about me and representations about me. They're not even, they don't have any laws to support their arguments, so they're playing games and prevailing. But and then they're saying, well, we must have had the case must have had merits because we won. Like, just because you win in court means that that your case had merit. Courts rulings get overturned all the time, and this one I've got an appeal going on, and we'll see what the appeals court says about it. And I told them when they started, I said, I'll take this as far as I can take it. I'll take it to Supreme Court. As far as I can take it, I'll go, because what they're doing is wrong, and I'm not gonna just throw up my hands and say, oh well, there's nothing I can do. The corruption's too big. Everybody's stronger than me. Everybody's got more money than me. Everybody's more powerful than me, because I don't think that matters. I think everybody who has a voice needs to use it. Everybody with a vote needs to use it. And we need to be, number one is be aware of what's going on, because I had no idea that things were so bad and that people were losing their kids to the other parent. Dilara's dad and I never were, we never were married, so we didn't even have to go through a divorce. He just decided that he didn't want to share custody anymore, and he hired an attorney and played all these dirty tricks and lied, and so far he's winning, but I think what he's doing is giving a lot of money to his lawyer, and in the end, he's not really winning, because he wants me to go away and let him have my daughter, and not just accept the fact that he doesn't want me to be in my daughter's life. I will not go away till I die. He'll have to kill me to keep me from fighting to be with my daughter, because she deserves it. I have a right to a relationship with my daughter. She's got a right to a relationship with her. These judges down here at the bottom, who obviously don't care what the Constitution says, don't care what their oath of office says. And judges like that there needs to be a way to get rid of them, rather than let them sit for years and years and just and sometimes judges they do get caught doing these bad things and they get ousted. But the better thing would be for them to just do the right thing and do what they promised to do, which is support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Tennessee, and administer justice without respect of persons, and faithfully and impartially discharge all the duties incumbent upon them as judges of whatever court they're in, to the best of their skill and ability. So help them God. And if Judge Calloway and Scott Rosenberg, and I know they messed up really bad, but I don't know for sure about the other ones. But if they're doing their job to the best of their ability, they need to just say, sorry, I'm not qualified for this job. Let me go back to school and learn about constitutional law, and then maybe I'll come back. Because what they're showing in their decisions is their skill and ability is nowhere up to par for the offices. And anyway, so they got voted into office, so we're stuck with them for a while. But I'm not going along with their with their unlawful orders and their arbitrary power and oppression. Constitution, State of we're taking your child away from you, and if you complain about it, we're going to put you in jail. So I said, go ahead. I will not stop complaining. So the Constitution, I keep saying this. I have a civic duty. The doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive of the good and happy. So I know it's destructive to the good and happiness of me and Dilara and her dad. And that's who it's affecting right now. Even though he thinks this is what he wants, he's like a child. I'm a mom. I've got 3 kids. I've worked with kids my whole adult life. My kids, other people's kids. You don't give in to children's harmful desires. You don't cave into the pressure when they're whining or complaining and they want something that's not good for them. You don't or taking rights away from other people when they're disrespectful of other people. You can't let them do that, because if you do, it reinforces that negative behavior. So if he says, I'm taking Dilara away from you, you'd better not complain. Then, if I don't complain, he's won. It's reinforced his negative behavior. So I will continue to live under that kind of oppression. And Dilara, that greases the skids for him to do it to anybody else he wants to if he thinks he can get away with it. have no reason to respect Dilara any more than he already is. He knows good and well she wants to be with her mom. And she wants both of her parents in her life. That's what I want. So I've been getting ready for trying to get ready to go to jail for 260 days. Because I'm not about to stop speaking out against the injustices. And I can go to jail. And, Tennessee is the nickname, the volunteer state. And during the War of 1812, a lot of volunteers from Tennessee went to fight in the War of 1812, and the Battle of New Orleans was a big deal. But if you think about it, you look at parents who have, the court system has just stripped them of everything. And you take a parent's child away. You take that child away. It's not. That's destructive to society. Period. And they can come in there and make whatever excuses they want to. It's like, well, we don't like the way you're doing it. We think we can do it better. Which the law says they don't have that right, but they're getting away with it because people are letting them get away with it. So, if you can't stop it, that at least make a fuss over it and bring it to other people's attention, like I'm doing. And because if I can't fix it, I'm not gonna contribute to the problem. And anyway, so Tennessee, people, you think about men going to war. What are they leaving behind? They're leaving behind families. They're leaving behind wives, children, farms, things. They have to leave something behind to go fight in a war they might not come back from. And if the men have been doing that for hundreds of years, voluntarily, they believe in a cause and they're going to go fight, willing to risk their life for freedom. And the women want to go to combat and fight in combat overseas. Women right here, the mothers of this country, they're the ones who can make the biggest difference for freedom here, because we can fight to keep our own children and raise them and continue to keep them in a nurturing environment, rather than the government taking them, paying money to the state to take children from good parents. And if you think it's only abusive and neglectful parents that lose their kids, you're wrong. You need to do some research. You need to go to medicalkidnapping.net for one thing. And there's all kinds of parents who are losing their kids. And sometimes it's the fathers losing the kids. But most of the time, lately, it's the fathers who have more money than the mothers. So the mothers are losing custody and they're losing their relationships with their children. And that's wrong. We can't stand for that. And I was unaware of the problem, but now that I know about it, I have no excuse but to say I'm going to do all I can to fight against it, not just for me, but for all these other moms, because our country depends on it. You break down, we have enough problems as it is, but you break down hearted parents. How do you think they're not gonna be as productive? They're not gonna be as positive. They're not gonna give as much to the country and their communities when part of they're walking around with a hole in their heart because people who don't even know them are stealing their kids. And then the children, they're growing up. Sometimes they take babies and then the babies grow up not knowing any better. But if they're taking 7, 8, 9-year-old kids away from their families, and putting them in foster care and adopting them out. I mean, what are those kids? It's what are they going to think? You know, it's like kids want their parents. They know who their parents are, and most of these children who are being taken away and put in foster care and the parents getting their rights terminated. It's wrong. If you look at the law about how easy it is to terminate a parent's rights, it's just absolutely unconscionable to me to what their it's unbelievable. I had no idea. So I'm pretty much volunteering to give my life in service to my country by whatever I can do to put up a resistance. I mean, I can't, I don't want to go serve on foreign soil and, be a Green Beret or anything. I just want to stand my ground and make the people who we elect do their jobs and uphold the Constitution and make sure everyone's rights are protected, not just people who have money, not just people who have lawyers. Liberty and justice is for all. So that's what that's my mission in life, and there's nothing more important than building up families and protecting families. And God, the Bible says God loves justice, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. So liberty and justice are things that they're important to God. And if we don't have liberty and justice, it's because of choices we've made. And I don't know who's responsible for the perjury in court and the stealing children from biological parents and terminating their rights and then adopting them out. I don't know who's responsible for that. And I know Clinton signed something for to pay money, put the financial incentives on that. But what you have here in these in the family court system, families don't have any protection. They don't. You criminals have more protection of their rights than in family court. And people make money off the conflict, and they're really big on, if somebody wants to take a child away, they question, one of the very first things they do is they question a parent's mental health. So whether you're getting, seeing somebody on a regular basis, like I do. I've got ADHD, and I take medication, and I see a therapist every month. And so I feel like, and I used to go see him a lot more when I was having problems dealing with, coping with my bad situation I was in. But so if you are responsibly managing your mental health, they hold that against you because, she's got a diagnosis. Doesn't matter how many, that you've been successfully raising kids for 15 years and taking care of other people's kids for longer than that. You've got a diagnosis. Oh, that's scary. And then if you're not seeing somebody, then they can say, well, she's crazy, and she needs to be getting mental help. So whether you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. And but that's one of the first things they do. And they like to order these expensive psychological exams. Have a stranger, doesn't know anything about you, have you fill out. I think the one I took cost like $800, and my daughter's dad paid for it. And it's stupid. It's one of the most stupid things. Biggest waste of time, biggest waste of money you can imagine. Because you sit there and you fill out all these fill in the blank things, and then a machine grades it. And then the psychologist, and see, it's a moneymaker because, I'm like, okay, well, so we've got these test results, but we need to have it's hearsay. So we need to have the man who did this evaluation to come in and explain the results. And then he probably charges $400 an hour or something to come in and do that. So so they make money off of it, and if you get ordered to have therapeutic visitation or supervised visitation because somebody says, well, the parent can't be alone with the child or whatever, they charge like $65 an hour. You have to pay $65 an hour to see your own child, who before you go to court, you're fine. You could have friends, neighbors, family, church, the child himself. Everybody could say, this is a great parent, this is a great mother, get along well, no problems. But you have these strangers come in, or you have a hostile, if the other parent's hostile, like Dilara's dad comes in there, and I'm still not understanding why I went from being primary residential parent, having her most of the waking hours, to 4 hours a week of therapeutic visitation when there's been no abuse or neglect. I mean, but see, it's a money maker. Somebody's going to make money. I don't have $65 an hour to see her, and I can't even see her right now anyway because her dad got this stupid order of protection. But if the order of protection was gone, I could see her 4 hours a week, and it would cost $65 an hour. And if I can't afford to pay for it, DCS can pay for it, which is the state. Why do taxpayers want that kind of money going for that stupid? It's ridiculous. I mean, the only time I think you should have supervised visitation is if somebody has hurt the children, has threatened to hurt the children. That's it. Why else would you need somebody, looking over your shoulder while you're with your kids? Especially when you've had other witnesses who've known you your whole life come in and say that the child parent have a great relationship. The child does well, is happy, well cared for. But this is what the state gets away with, and it's a racket. It's a racket, and it needs to stop because the victims are the parents and the children. And this is whether it's just in a custody battle, like Dilara's dad and we never were married, but he decided he doesn't want to share custody anymore. So he's taken me to court, taken me to several different courts to strip me of my rights to parent her and strip Dilara of her right. And so you don't have to be married to the other parent. You can just take them to court if you got the money, and you've got a lawyer, an unscrupulous lawyer who doesn't mind lying and manipulating and perpetrating fraud upon the court in order to get their way. And even, I mean, it remains to be seen whether the judge who they perpetrated this fraud on cares or not. I haven't got in front of him and exposed what they did. When I do, it'll be interesting to see how he reacts. But so you got parents who raised the child together for a number of years, and then for whatever reason, not abuse or neglect, one parent decides, I don't want to share custody. They can take the child away. Divorces can get really nasty. And I've heard some really heartbreaking stories, and which is strange because so you can be married for 12 or 15 years and everything go okay, and then for some reason you got a divorce, and then all of a sudden you've got both parents saying the other parent's horrible. And in those cases, I think 50-50. That's that would be fair, especially if you can't, if both people are. The best thing to do is just 50-50. And then you've got the medical kidnapping, where you take a child to the doctor and you ask for a second opinion, and they don't like it because you asked for a second opinion, and then they report you for medical neglect. Or your child gets hurt and they suspect abuse. They accuse you of abuse. Take your child, jerk your child right out of their life. And then when you get upset because they've jerked your child out of your life, and you know your child's distressed, when you get upset and you start complaining about it, then they question your mental health and say, oh, well, we can't give your child back to you because you're mentally unstable. And they created the situation where you're mentally unstable. You're under attack. You're paranoid. You're distraught. What they do it on purpose, and they know exactly what they're doing. And sometimes they, I guess it depends on the judges, because the judges, you have to have a judge to terminate your rights, and sometimes, the state is successful in terminating the rights of a parent who does not need her has not done anything to justify that. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But the fact that there's any child who is taken away from a loving, nurturing parent, and they don't have to be the best parent in the world, and it doesn't matter if the adoptive parents have a bigger house or more money. That doesn't matter. And the law says it doesn't matter. It's still in the laws. It's like this. There was this case. I think it was not KNOTT. It was a father, and it was something about the child. The child was there. Somebody was wanting to adopt the child, who was in better financial condition. That's respect of persons. It's like this. Oath of office, judges' oath of office. I will administer justice without respect of persons. If you're saying, I'm going to take your rights away, I'm going to take your child away, give them to this person because they have more money, that's showing respect of persons. That's not right. And when you deprive someone of their rights because they go into court and they can't afford a lawyer, that's respect. That's showing respect to persons. They're like, well, you're not represented by an attorney, therefore we're not going to treat you like we would if you did have an attorney. And that goes on all the time. So anyway, so I'm getting ready to go to jail for 260 days because that's what Dilara's dad is asking the judge for on January 21st. And I just hope that other people are as upset about this as I am, because our constitutionally protected activities, we're not free to exercise them. And people with money and a lawyer think they can, they're just bullies. And that's what I told his attorney. If something like this was going on in a school, and you had some kid bullying, beating up, threatening another child, they would get expelled from school. They don't tolerate it. They don't tolerate it in schools with, or they on paper they don't. It's supposed to be like a anti-bullying, whatever. But it's not right. You don't want to encourage that in children, and you don't want to encourage it in adults, because adults can do a lot more damage than the kids can. And right now, the courts, the judges, the corruption in the system, and the corrupt judges and the corrupt lawyers, and the selfish parents who can't put their own feelings aside and look at what's really best for their child. My child wants both parents in her life. She wants to love and be loved by and spend time with both of her parents. I know that. She knows that. Her dad knows that. The judge probably knows that. I mean, it's common sense. Nobody has said that Dilara doesn't like me or doesn't want to see me. Everybody says, well, they're close. And in fact, they use that against me. They're like, well, they thought we were too close, so let's just limit their parenting time to 4 hours a week. Where you've got, in a normal household, a mother, you would not go into, my next door neighbor's house and say, oh, well, you're spending too much time with your child. We're going to go put her in some other care, and then we'll let you see her 4 hours a week. Because if it's more than 4 hours a week, maybe it's not healthy for the child, and maybe you're having maybe you're too bonded, and that just might not be in the child's best interest. I mean, and that's what they're saying to me. They're saying that all this stuff is not in her best interest. They've never shown any proof of harm, even though the judge says, well, when I complained about the lies, she said, well, they're just allegations. It's the facts. It's the proof that matters. They haven't shown any proof whatsoever of any of their allegations that anything I've done has been harmful or put Dilara at substantial risk of any harm. And that's what they're supposed to have done, and they haven't done it. So they're doing all these bad things, and they're hurting my daughter. Before all this started, my daughter did not have a worry in the world. And now she's seeing a therapist every week to talk about her feelings and how she wishes her mom could win in court so she can have both of her parents in her life again, and how she's afraid she won't get to see her mom again, and how she's afraid her dad has put her mom in jail. Now, to me, I would think that those aren't good things for a child to have to be put through. And that's what he's done that's what he's done to my child, our child. But I've tried to protect her and give her stability and security, and he's turned her whole world upside down, and he's taken her away from he's like, she's a shell of what she was before, and she hasn't seen me for almost 7 months. So if they send me to jail for 260 days, by the time I get out of jail, the order of protection should have been expired. Hopefully. But I still have to deal with getting Dilara her life back. And that's another thing too that these crazy people do, is they'll take a child out of a situation where they're doing well, put them with strangers, and then after they've been with strangers for a while, they say, oh, well, the child's doing well, and we don't want to disrupt the child's situation when they're doing well. Well, they didn't have any problem taking a child out of a situation with the parents when the child was doing well. And it's like Dilara's dad. Like I said, she had a great life. She had a very wonderful, happy life. She was in church. She had her church friends, her neighbors, her pets, all the activities she did with me. She had her brother and sister that she was involved with, and my brother. She had her uncle. So she's got all these. She had much more access to family. She had no access to me for 7 months, and her dad, to his credit, has graciously allowed my older daughter, who's 18, to take Dilara and spend time with her and with my brother and my son, but not me. And then after he's taken her away from me, then he says, "Oh, she's flourishing. We don't want to disrupt her. We don't want her to see her mom again because that might be disruptive to her." Even though the law says children are supposed to have maximum involvement with both parents, and parents go to court to if they don't have much time, they can have more. They go to court, and the court gives them maximum time. But in these lower courts, they don't have to. Sometimes you have to go to appeals court to make them really look at the law and say the lower court disregarded the law. And they do it. The lower court does it all the time. And I cannot believe all the different ways Sheila Calloway in juvenile court of Davidson County has just trampled all over the law, and all over my rights, all over Dilara's rights. And she's enabled and encouraged and rewarded the bad behavior of Dilara's dad. It's very, very irresponsible, very destructive, and she needs to stop it. And if she doesn't stop it, somebody needs to stop her. She needs to, I don't know who else she's done this kind of thing to, but everybody who she's hurt by making these unjust, unlawful decisions, they need to all get together and complain and see if they can either make her start doing the right thing or strip her of her robes, tell her to go get off the bench, and we'll put somebody in her place who's more worthy than she is. Because it's just not good. And I don't know who the good judges are. There are some good judges, but Sheila Calloway is not a good judge. At least she might be good working with the juvenile offenders, and I kind of get that impression. But she said somewhere, I don't know where some interview, that she's got like a third of juvenile offenders. She works with the juvenile detention and stuff. So she's got a third of that. She's got a third of custody, which is what my situation is a child custody of parents who were never married. And then a third of neglect and dependency. And a lot of those neglect and dependency cases, I'm sure, are not really situations that justify removing the child from the parents. But I think Sheila Calloway may be good, and I kind of get the impression at working with the juvenile offenders. So, but that's only a third of her job. So if she's only doing a third of her job well, I don't think she's qualified for the job. So I don't know if they need to get 3 different, if she would just follow the law, it would be okay. But she's not. She's not respecting anyone's. I had a lawyer the last day of my custody trial. I had a lawyer, and he spoke out for, this is a civil rights case, and he spoke up for my right to speak out and to speak on Facebook. I mean, these are civil rights, and he spoke out about how I was available 24/7 to be with my child, and I should be able to remain primary residential parent because I had more time availability, and because her dad worked full time during the day, and so even all that, it's like she had her mind made up at the beginning to deny me custody, just like Magistrate Rosenberg had his mind made up as soon as I went to the courtroom and they wanted to stop me from homeschooling, and he just made up a reason to stop me from homeschooling, and Judge Calloway made up reasons to deny me my relationship with my daughter. So anyway, I've got a lot I'm working on right now. I've got this order protection, and I'm kind of wondering why am I kind of stuck on getting this petition filed, and it's very long. It's very, very involved, and when I get it written up, I'll put it on my Facebook, my free Dilara Gider. I'll have to block out or edit out Dilara's dad's name. But that's the order of protection. That's where her dad. I got the whole story online. So, but that's what's keeping me from seeing Dilara for the last 7 months. He went to a judge and said, "I want you to order Lydia Hubble to not have any contact with her own daughter for a year." And he asked the judge for that and told a bunch of lies and misrepresented a lot of things. And the judge said, "Okay, fine. I'll separate this mother and child. This 6.5-year-old girl. She was 6.5. Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll separate this mother and child for a year." Judge Philip Robinson, 3rd Circuit Court, Davidson County, Tennessee. So, and we went to court several times, and he's like, "Well, he's not," and he thinks I'm crazy. That's the thing. How many mental health evaluations do you have to take? How many, I've been seeing the same therapist for almost 5 years. He hasn't been worried about my mental health, and he's never been worried about my mental health. He's never been worried about me hurting my daughter. But it doesn't matter. They want to keep, "Oh, well, you must be crazy." And that's another thing too, is that my therapist said, he says, "Well, most people, if they say, 'Be quiet, keep your mouth shut,' or 'you're not going to get to see your daughter again,' most people would do anything. But I know that if I do that, it just makes things worse for everybody. And they're not going to give me my child back anyway. They have no intention. My daughter's dad has no intention of ever letting me have a meaningful relationship with my child. And I'm going to ask, I've asked the court to make him stop lying. I've asked the court to make him stop interfering in my relationship with my daughter. And they've said no to both of those. They won't stop him from lying about me. They won't stop him from making false accusations about child abuse. They won't stop him from interfering in my relationship with my daughter. But when I go to court on January 21st, I am going to get to explain to the judge the things that she doesn't know about that happened, that have happened over the summer until now, about what about him before he got the order of protection. He got the order of protection to keep me from exercising the parenting time that juvenile court told me I was entitled to. So she hasn't heard that, and when she does hear it, I don't know what she's gonna do with it. But I'm gonna ask her to order him to go through a batterer's intervention program, and that's a special kind of counseling for men who have control issues and the power and control, and they don't respect other people's rights. That's what he needs. And it's not the same as anger management. He doesn't really have an anger problem. He's got the control problem. And it might not help him, but I think it would be good for him to do. Now, I voluntarily get counseling from, anytime I've got a problem, I'm reading a book or asking, people I respect and family, friends for advice. I ask my counselor for advice, my therapist. And I'm always looking at myself. It's like, well, what can I do, better? Or am I wrong? Do I have a bad attitude about something? But Dilara's dad, it's just all about him and what he wants. And it's really a terrible thing that court has done to him, because I think he wasn't this dishonest and this cruel and this manipulative and this selfish before he started going to court and court started rewarding these kind of attitudes and behaviors. So I'm hoping that he's not so far gone we can't reverse things and get him back to being more of a decent person. And but it's not going to hurt anything. Putting him through a program it's not going to hurt anything. Even if it doesn't help, it's not going to hurt. And I'm going to ask for that, and I'm going to tell her why. I mean, it's like what I've told here is, the courts have created a monster. He can't possibly be as effective as a father, and as he would be if he were to overcome his emotional problems that are getting in the way of him him recognizing that Dilara needs her mother in her life too, and recognizing that Dilara's feelings and her desires and her needs are important. And to this point, he's said over and over, yeah, he knows Dilara wants to see her mom, doesn't care. He knew Dilara wanted to be homeschooled, doesn't care. Doesn't care. So we'll see how it goes. And there's a chance on January 21st that I won't go to jail for 260 days. But I've just got to prepare for it and tell everybody else prepare for it. And it's really sad that, I mean, it's almost like we're in a third world country where you can't speak out against injustice without retaliation. You can't, and intimidation, civil rights intimidation is supposed to be a felony. So threatening to hurt you for exercising your civil rights, or hurting you after you have because you did exercise your civil rights, those are felonies. But here we go. It's not, things are not working the way they're supposed to, and we need to be aware of what's going on, and we need to band together and fight. And right now, I'm not sure what to do other than stand my ground and make a lot of noise and talk to my Congress. I got a Congress woman, Sherry Jones, and Scott Yarborough, I think, is our senator. Sherry Jones is my representative. But it's a big problem, and I can't fix it, but I can ask other people to be aware of it, and there are organizations who are. I mean, what we need is we need an army of volunteers, of people who are, like the volunteers who went to fight in the Battle of New Orleans. What they leave behind, They left behind a lot of stuff. And they were risking their lives. And that's one thing I keep saying is Dilara's dad came here from Turkey. He's a dual citizen. He came here, I think, in 95. He got his citizenship maybe since Dilara was born, and she's 7. So he's been here for 20 years. I've lived here my whole life. I was born in Clarksville, Tennessee. I have ancestors who have been living here since before there was a United States of America. I have ancestors who fought in the Revolutionary War. I have ancestors who fought in every war since then. My grandfather fought in World War II. He's a Purple Heart recipient. My father was in Vietnam. He was a captain. He's a chaplain, actually, in Vietnam. And even that's not really he's a non-combatant, but you're in a war zone. You're risking your life. And I've got one brother who was in the Navy and who was in the Persian Gulf during the Persian Gulf conflict. He was in the Navy over there. My sister was, and my brother-in-law and my sister were both in Iraq. My other brother, who's he's a chaplain at this point, but he was a chaplain's assistant at the time. He was in Iraq. He served in Iraq too. So I've got all these family members who fought in the armed forces for America, for freedom and our security, and they fought on risking their lives in these combat areas. They did not risk their lives on foreign soil so that my little girl and I can be raped like's been done to us in Davidson County, Tennessee. That's absolutely outrageous. That I've got all these family members who are willing, put their life on the line. And the right here in Nashville, Tennessee, my freedoms have been stripped away from me. My daughter's freedoms have been stripped away from her. And that's not right. I mean, that is not right. So we need to do something about it. I mean, it really, if you can look at what's been done to my family and to a lot of these other families, there's so many of them. Even if there was just one family in America that was treated like that, there should be outrage. And the people who perpetrated that abuse on them should be held responsible. So anyway, well, I'm ranting. I'm getting close to my court date. And I'm really fired up about all of this. And I rant a lot, but that's really all I can do at this point. I don't have any money. I don't have a lawyer. I'm not scary, even though, her dad had me arrested for assault because I yelled at him for keeping me from seeing my daughter, and he said that put him in fear of imminent bodily injury. So I'm waiting to go to trial, or for the grand jury to determine whether or not to send me to trial for that. But I'm not scary. I'm not strong. I'm very stubborn. I'm very passionate, and I'm not stubborn in that. I won't admit that I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong, I want somebody to show me. And even if I don't agree with them, I at least want to question myself. But I'm I will. I mean, I've determined I'm going to spend the rest of my life fighting to restore integrity to our judicial system and our families, make our families safe. No matter what happens with me and Dilara, I will. That's my calling. The rest of my life, I'm going to be 50 years old this year, and I'll probably be celibate the rest of my life. I've been divorced for, I don't know, 15 years. And I feel like as a single woman, I can focus more on helping people than I could if my attentions were, my responsibilities and attentions were spread out, like if I had a husband. I've got my kids, but my two are, got my 18-year-old's already gone to college. My 17-year-old's got one more year before he goes to college. And then I'll have Dilara. And if I don't even have Dilara right now. But when I do get her back, this is something that we can do together. And you just have to, it's part of good citizenship, holding the people in authority accountable for what they do. We got to do it. And people have been, I don't think they did it on purpose. I think it kind of snuck up on everybody. I mean, it snuck up on me. But once you know about it, you've got to clean up the mess. And then you've got to be diligent to make sure it doesn't creep back in again. Because it will creep back in. If you don't, you have to stand guard forever. It's like guarding the borders, And what's going on here, what we're doing to our own families and our own citizens, this is a greater threat than ISIS will ever be. We are destroying ourselves from within by undermining the family. And if you don't have strong families, you can't have a strong country. And, well, you might have a strong country in some ways, but, I don't know, like China is not very big on human rights and family values, but they got a lot of money. So if that's what's important to you, but I don't want to use China as a role model, but I want America to be great again, and I want to be proud of my country. And when I found out that the flag doesn't stand for liberty and justice, it was very upsetting to me. But and like I said, I don't know whose fault it is, but I'm not going to be a part of it. Continuing, I'm going to do, and I'm joining forces with other people who want America to be the land of the free and home of the brave. And it's not right now. It's not the land of the free, and it's a land of cowards. It's people being threatened and coerced and told to keep your mouth shut and your head down, and maybe you'll get some of your rights back. That's reality, and I'm not accepting it. I'm not. Like I've said, I would rather be, if I'm going to have my rights, be deprived of my rights, I might as well be in jail, as out here pretending that I have any kind of protections under the law, that I have any rights guaranteed under the Constitution, because it's not true. Anyway, I rant a lot. I've got a lot of emotions, and I get them out with my words. I use a lot of words, and that doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make me crazy. It might make me annoying, but I'm not making anybody watch this, but it's there for posterity, and anybody who wants to see it and wants to see what I'm all about and why I might be going to jail for 260 days in, 9 days from now.